All right. Welcome to the simplest job that you can do on a Strat, and that is replacing a faulty pot. Now, even if you don't know anything about electronics, you can replace a faulty volume pot the way I first did it when I was learning how to do this, which is simply to follow and replace the wires as they exist on the pot that's already there. On a Strat or on a Les Paul or any kind of guitar, doesn't matter what kind of guitar, it'd be exactly the same thing. Okay. Ooh. Someone didn't finish shielding it. Oh, Mr. didn't finish shielding it. Well, you don't really need to. These are like sensor pickups. So the very first time I attempted this, which wasn't long ago, this is all I did when I had no idea what was doing what on the pot or how the pot even worked before I knew any of that. All I did was, it's not very hard to connect the dots, right? You can see all of these wires here. So this white one, this black one, all these other ground wires, they're all soldered to the top of the pot. Then I've got this output wire, so that runs, this middle lug runs to the output of the output jack, so that's basically your output wire. This one here runs from the output of the switch down to the input of the volume pot. So all we do is just copy this layout onto the new, it's really, that's how I figured out how to do this. This is how I taught myself how to do this, by basically just having it one right next to the other and moving one wire from one to the other. Over time I began to figure out more what those were actually doing. So first thing we want to do before you solder a bunch of wires to the top of the volume pot is just give it a little bit of a scrape. I just use like 400, 800 grit sandpaper, it doesn't matter. Just a little scrape till you can see the lines on top. This is not strictly a necessary step, right? But you will notice, like most solder is rosin core, which is basically, so, but if you just want the solder to flow really nicely without having to sit and heat up the pot for too long, like this tub, I'm certain this tub came with a kit that I bought probably 20 years ago. This little tub probably came with a kit that I bought, the big red gun type soldering iron. And I'm sure that'll last for ages and ages and ages. What we're gonna do is just exactly what I did the first time I did this. And so I'll just heat up that connection until it loosens its way off. And I'll just straighten it out. And I'll just, like I said, copy the existing layout. There's a little bit too much wire there, which is, we don't need quite that much. And then just a little bit of mechanical connection there to basically be a third hand for me, a fourth hand. And then the idea is you heat it up first. Once it gets hot, solder will flow. And that's it. Okay, so let's move on to our next port of call. and that is the output wire. So this outputs to the switch, and that's kind of in our way. So we'll just, again, we'll heat that up. Get my big fat hand out of the way, I'll just heat that up. And give it a tug, there we go. And then same. Heat her up, a little bit of solder. Love your uncle. Okay, not much left to go here. So this is a ground connection. I'm going to helps to have a set of these things because these wires can get pretty hot if you're trying to heat them up, and you will burn your hands really fast. Come on. There we go. Okay, so there's that ground connection gone. I'm going to move this side of the way, and then we're going to kind of rinse and repeat. Those things all around. This is ground together jack. And these little cheese. There we go. So these are all just ground from the pickups. Okay, so I'm just going to clean this up a little smidgy. I'm going to clean it up a little smidgy because we can. So at this point, that can come out of there because we kind of know where everything else is going. Just like to point out, for those of you who know what you're doing, I did not buy this pot. This is the wrong size pot for this hole, but it will work. It's also a long shaft pot, so I had to put in a spacer, another nut there, just so it doesn't stick out too far here. And that should do the trick. Okay, I think we're good. We're in Conflin. So, just marry those two there. Alright, so we're almost done. If we take a look at the old pot, we can see that this very far last lug is actually soldered to the top of the pot, grounding it to the top of the pot. So we're going to have to bend that lug up to either touch there or close enough that we can make a connection. So carefully bend it up. Till it touches. And then, because each of these pots need to be grounded to the other, we can also piggyback this connection here. And we can land these here as well. It's kind of a good landing spot for all of these. And then over here, we shall just put a little load of solder here. And then we'll keep her warm and toasty. And then we'll drive that in there. call her done. And that should be every wire connected. Just double check that those are all solid. Gonna come off and good to go.